everybody, Shannon Marin, Vancouver Island Realtor here, and another episode of Second Home Vacation Location. Today we are going to meet with my friend Horacio Ochoa with eXp Realty in the Mayan Riviera. He's going to talk about new developments and why you need to invest in Tulum, Mexico today. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about the kind of projects that you're working on and what's available to people? Like, give us your top three in a nutshell for what would you recommend to Canadians and Americans if they're coming in to buy in Tulum?
For sure. So if we're going to talk about the Riviera Maya, Tulum, I mean, right now, the news came out about a month ago. Cancun is the #1 tourist destination in the world, sharing the limelight with Dubai. 4% of all tourist arrivees, wow, which is simply phenomenal. It approximately means 20 to 25 million people arrive at the Cancun International Airport every year.
That's a large number.
To give you an estimate, they have right now 15 million seats already reserved for Cancun. Like, this is how out of the 25 million that they expect or will basically match last year's numbers, they already have 15 million reserved for this year. So, and we're only at March. We haven't even had the high seasons. We haven't even had the Christmas season or anything like that. A lot of countries are still sort of figuring out their situation, but that's the level of demand down here. So when we're talking about Playa, Cancun, Tulum, we're primarily looking at three things. Number one is what is the annual rate of occupancy? And so clients can get caught up a little bit. Tulum, Playa, and Cancun are basically the roadmap that you would take on a holiday if you're going to go to the Riviera Maya. Unless you're going to stay in an all-inclusive and never leave, then that's a very distinct type of holiday. But most people right now holidaying, arriving in Cancun, where they spend maybe a week or so in an all-inclusive, then they transition into an Airbnb in Playa, or perhaps still stay in a hotel. But then you get into Tulum, and it's over the top how many Airbnbs there are, which outpace the hotel industry. So as an investor right now, the big opportunity is to get in on the market and buy pre-development projects in Tulum or Playa, which will be put out for rent and meet occupancy rates, like I said, that are surpassing hotels. This past Christmas in Tulum, the occupancy rate for Airbnb surpassed 95%. And that 5% was primarily cancellations, people being mandated and not being able to travel or any of that.
Yeah, and that's during a pandemic, right?
And this is during a pandemic. This is not stopping. During the hurricane season last year, they broke records for how many people flew into the Cancun International Airport during the hurricane. Not before, not after, no. Like, I mean, I'm talking like the hurricane's going on and people were just going, I want to go to Cancun. So the model is proven. We're competing with Dubai. Dubai has spent hundreds of millions, if not trillions, in developing itself. Cancun, not so much, because the infrastructure is really their biggest investment. And other than that, it's nature. Nature is the biggest attraction. I mean, the Caribbean Ocean attracts millions of people just on its own. People just want to go and lay down on the Caribbean Ocean and look at the water. And that's all they want to do, drink margaritas, right?
Do a bit of snorkeling and you're good. Yeah.
Exactly. But what's happening is people are discovering that this area has so much more. I mean, starting from the history, the pyramids in Tulum, the cenotes and all throughout the Riviera Maya, the proximity now to Mérida and Valladolid and these other states. So you don't necessarily have to just spend your holiday in, again, in a tourist destination, but you can go and see more of Mexico. So all of these have become top attractions for people from all over who are wanting a little bit more of an experience, perhaps with nature, perhaps with not as much infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. So in Tulum right now, what's happened is they've built eco-chic society, basically. It's that client who wants to come down from New York, from California, from Toronto. They don't want to see cars. They don't want to see traffic. And so a lot of Tulum is still very much, sand roads, beautiful hotels, beautiful condominiums, developments, hotels along the beach for sure as well, very boutique. But the infrastructure is left so that people can really feel like they're showing up to a jungle treat, if you will.
And it is nice to get the feel of the old Mexico and not just strictly touristy.
Right? And I mean, Tulum is definitely touristy. Don't get me wrong; it's very cosmopolitan. I mean, people are going to fly in from everywhere. But I think the vacation status, it's not necessarily just walk up and down concrete jungle. It's now I'm in the jungle. There's still a condominium which has all the amenities and luxuries and so on and so forth that I could ask for. But it really feels like I'm nestled in between, the grapevine and so on and so forth, with pools and such. But I'm still, far, far away from that city feeling. And that's what's attracting this investor. So what's happened over the last 15 years, the people who have come down and developed these projects and so on, they have focused primarily on condominiums. So 3-story condominiums, beautiful rooftop infinity pools, et cetera, et cetera. But what has been left out has been housing. And so because of the new injections of infrastructure that are now being developed, including at Tulum International Airport, the train, which is going to connect 5 states, it's called Tren Maya. And so because they've pumped in so much of this infrastructure investment, what's happening now is there's a need for houses, for actual executive luxury housing. And I call it luxury really because there just isn't anything of the sort that the executives who are being hired to build these infrastructure projects.
So it's not just vacationing now, people are actually coming down there to live.
And I've been seeing this for the last 5 years, for the better part there. And I've been telling people that this is going to be the trend. And perhaps, the rental will be different. It won't be as much on Airbnb and so on. But if you can line up yourself long-term rentals into these properties, they're still paying in US dollars. These are high-level executives who have the funds, but what they don't have right now is the inventory to go and occupy it.
Right.
So my number one suggestion right now is a project which I have been promoting for the last 6 months, 19 luxury homes inside of a gated luxury hotel complex that has made space for residential. And I mean, you got to see the projects that are fully developed, and that's that project that it's Mexican Canadians. They're originally from Mexico. They've been living in Canada for well over 15 years. Their track record in Canada alone, I mean, they built schools in Guelph, Ontario. They built towers in Burnaby in British Columbia. We can go and look at. So it's a proven model. I mean, they're not trying to invent anything, and they're the ones who are actually building these houses to Canadian standards. They're providing a higher level of warranty, which in Mexico is just not a common trait in properties.
Right.
And the amenities that the client is getting, I mean, it's simply amazing because it's inside of a hotel complex, the largest actually in the Riviera Maya. And they've allowed for the space within the golf course, which is a PGA rated golf course that owners have access to with fees and so on, but very pro-rated. No pun intended, but it is a PGA rated golf course. And that alone is going to put these houses in the build to last category because of the level of client that it's attracting. If I'm an executive and I can rent out this house and live with my family, secure, all the amenities that I want and desire, plus, all within the complex, I can go to work and feel that my family is still safe. Or else I can work out of the luxury home and it's spacious enough that it's not a studio or a condo. And now that has a much higher level of demand and value than maybe 15 years ago when they just weren't thinking of how much infrastructure was going to come and the demand for the professionals and executives to, to find housing for themselves.
As far as the investor is concerned, I think that is a way better investment where there's already so many studio Airbnbs or 1-bedroom Airbnbs. There's all of that. And, you kind of worry about renting it out to, a couple of college kids that just want to come down and party for a weekend, right? But with the 3-bedroom home on the golf course, you're getting a different type of tenant as well. So that's satisfying for investors.
In every which way, absolutely. And I have to be very blunt. Tulum is not necessarily the place that people are backpacking through. The client that's already showing up in Tulum is a little bit savvy. It's not their first holiday. They've been around the world and probably to more luxurious places. And so this is, where they can come and get away from, most of the everyday life structure. But at the same time, they still demand the level of luxury that Tulum is providing them at US dollars. So that investor is saying, well, I don't mind because the kind of client that's coming in, like I said, he's not a backpacker. They're Airbnb clients. Most people on Airbnb are not causing trouble. It's a really small rate of people who cause trouble in Airbnbs. It's actually quite amazing.
Thanks so much for watching Second Home Vacation Location. If you are interested in the information on how to invest in another property in another country, please give us a call at 250-914-1122 and we will connect you with who you need to know.